The kitchen smelled of burnt coffee and regret. Sarah Chen stood at the counter, her hands trembling as she poured the dark liquid into her mother's favorite mug, the one with the faded blue flowers that nobody was allowed to use. But her mother wasn't here to stop her anymore. "You're using that cup." Sarah turned to find her older brother Michael standing in the doorway, his suit wrinkled from the red-eye flight, his eyes bloodshot and accusatory. "She's not here to care," Sarah said, her voice flat. "That's not the point." Michael walked to the refrigerator, opening it to find it nearly empty except for expired milk and takeout containers. "Jesus, Sarah, how long has it been like this?" "Like what?" "Like you've given up. Like you've been living in a tomb." He slammed the fridge door. "The house is falling apart. Mom's garden is dead. There are boxes everywhere. What have you been doing for the past 6 months?" Sarah set down the mug with a sharp clink. "I've been here, Michael." "Where have you been?" "Oh, right, Seattle. Building your empire. Too busy to visit. Too busy to call more than once a month." "Don't start with me." Michael loosened his tie. "I had a job. A life. You were the one who lived 20 minutes away. You were supposed to be checking on her." The words hung in the air like poison. "I was checking on her," Sarah whispered. "Every day. I was the one who found her. Michael, I was the one who called 911. I was the one who held her hand in the hospital while you were in meetings that were too important to leave." Michael's face crumbled for just a moment before he rebuilt the wall. "The doctors said she had months. I was going to come. I was planning." "She had a stroke, Michael." "There was no planning for that." Sarah's voice cracked. "She kept asking for you. Even at the end, she kept saying, 'Where's my Michael? Where's my boy?'" The kitchen fell silent except for the dripping faucet neither of them had fixed. "I'm sorry," Michael finally said, but the words felt hollow. Before Sarah could respond, the front door opened. Their younger sister Emma walked in, her purple hair catching the afternoon light, a guitar case slung over her shoulder. "Oh, good, you're both here," Emma said, dropping her bag. "We can all be miserable together." "Emma," Sarah sighed, "you're late." "I'm always late. It's kind of my thing." Emma headed to the living room, avoiding eye contact. "Is the lawyer here yet?" "In an hour," Michael said, checking his phone. "We need to go through Mom's will, figure out what to do with the house." "Sell it," Emma said quickly. "Sell everything. I don't want any of it." Sarah felt something sharp twist in her chest. "This is our childhood home, Emma." "Yeah, and it's full of ghosts." Emma finally looked at her siblings, her eyes rimmed with red. "I can't walk through that door without seeing her in the kitchen. I can't go upstairs without expecting to hear her calling my name. This place is suffocating me." "So we should just erase her?" Sarah's voice rose. "Pretend she never existed?" "That's not what I'm saying." "Then what are you saying?" "Because all I hear is you running away, like you always do, like you ran away to Nashville, chasing some fantasy while Mom got sick." "Don't you dare!" Emma's face flushed. "Don't you dare make this about my dreams." "Mom supported me. She believed in me when neither of you did." "We believed in you," Michael interjected. "We just wanted you to have a backup plan. Music is a tough industry." "Oh, here we go," Emma laughed bitterly. "The responsible older brother with all the answers. Did you ever think that maybe not everyone wants to be a corporate robot like you?" "I'm not a robot. I built something. I have a career." "You have an empty apartment and a job that owns you," Emma shot back. "When was the last time you did something that wasn't on a spreadsheet? When was the last time you were happy?" "That's enough," Sarah said, but neither of them heard her. "At least I don't live gig to gig, sleeping on couches, pretending I'm 22 when I'm 30. I'm 28, you condescending." "I said that's enough." Sarah's scream echoed through the house. Both siblings froze, stunned. Sarah's hands were shaking again, harder this time. "Do you know what the last thing Mom said to me was?" Her actual last words before the stroke took her ability to speak? Neither Michael nor Emma responded. She said, "Bring them home, Sarah." "My babies need to come home." Tears streamed down Sarah's face. She wasn't talking about for a funeral. She was talking about fixing us, fixing this family, Because we've been broken for years, and she knew it, and she blamed herself. Mom didn't break us, Michael said quietly. No, Sarah agreed. We did that all on our own. The silence that followed was different, heavier, more honest. Emma sank onto the couch, hugging her guitar case. I should have visited more. We all should have, Michael admitted, sitting down beside her. Sarah remained standing, looking at her siblings, really looking at them, for the first time in years. When had Michael's hair started graying at the temples? When had the laugh lines around Emma's eyes become permanent? Do you remember the autumn Dad died? Sarah asked suddenly. Michael nodded slowly. I was 17. I was 15, Sarah continued. Emma, you were only 8. Mom held us together. She worked 2 jobs, made sure we had everything we needed, never complained. And what did we do? We grew up and apart. People grow up, Emma said softly. That's normal. Growing up is normal. Growing distant isn't. Sarah finally sat down, completing the circle. I'm angry at both of you. I'm so angry I can barely breathe sometimes. But I'm also angry at myself. For what? Michael asked. For not telling you how bad it was. For not calling you when Mom started forgetting things. For not forcing you both to come home sooner. Sarah wiped her eyes. I thought I could handle it alone. I thought I was being strong, but I was just being proud. Emma reached over and took Sarah's hand. You were always the strong one. I don't want to be the strong one anymore, Sarah confessed. I'm tired, Emma. I'm so tired. For the first time in months, maybe years, the 3 siblings sat together in silence that felt like understanding. Michael cleared his throat. The lawyer's coming about the will, but we don't have to make any decisions today. About the house, I mean. No? Emma asked. No. Michael looked around the living room, at the photos on the mantel, the worn armchair where their father used to read the paper, the bookshelf their mother had alphabetized every spring. Maybe we need some time to figure out what we want to keep, what we need to let go. I vote we burn that hideous painting of the fruit bowl, Emma said, and despite everything, Sarah laughed. Dad painted that, Michael reminded her. I know, it's still hideous. Sarah felt something loosen in her chest. Not healing, not yet, but the possibility of it. I have 3 weeks before I need to be back, Michael said. I can stay. Help sort through things. Emma bit her lip. I have a gig next weekend, but I can cancel. It's just a bar in Memphis. They'll find someone else. Don't cancel, Sarah said, but maybe come back after? Stay for a while. Yeah, Emma nodded. I can do that. The doorbell rang. The lawyer, right on time. As Michael went to answer it, Sarah looked at the coffee mug in her hands, the one with the faded blue flowers. Her mother had gotten it on her honeymoon, 35 years ago. It had survived moves, children, grief, and time. Before we meet with the lawyer, Sarah said quickly, there's something I need to tell you both. Michael paused at the doorway. Emma looked up. Mom left letters. For each of us. I found them in her desk last week. Sarah pulled 3 envelopes from her cardigan pocket. I haven't read mine yet. I was too scared. She handed Michael and Emma their envelopes, their names written in their mother's elegant script. Should we read them now? Emma asked. I think we should read them together, Michael said, after the lawyer leaves. Together. Sarah nodded, tucking her own letter back into her pocket, feeling its weight against her heart. The lawyer was a kind woman named Patricia, who spoke in gentle tones about assets and probate and inheritance. The house was paid off. There was a small life insurance policy. Their mother's savings had been depleted by medical bills, but there was enough to settle affairs. Your mother was very specific about certain items, Patricia said, pulling out a detailed list. She wanted to make sure each of you received things that mattered. To Michael, their father's watch, his collection of jazz records, and the leather journal he'd kept during his time in the Navy. To Emma, their mother's guitar, the one she'd played in college before life got in the way, and a box of original songs their parents had written together. To Sarah, the recipe books, the photo albums, and the blue flower mug. She knew, Emma whispered. She knew what we needed. After Patricia left, the siblings gathered at the kitchen table. The afternoon sun slanted through the windows, illuminating dust motes in memories. "Who goes first?" Michael asked, holding his envelope like it might dissolve. "Together," Sarah said. "We open them together." They tore the seals in unison, the sound like a collective breath. Sarah's hands trembled as she unfolded the paper, her mother's handwriting swimming before her eyes. "My dearest Sarah, by the time you read this, I'll be gone, and you'll be trying to hold everything together. You always did that, even as a little girl. When your father died, you became my rock, and I let you. That was my mistake. You were a child who needed to grieve, but instead you took care of me. You took care of everyone, and you never stopped. I'm writing to tell you something I should have said more often. It's okay to fall apart. It's okay to need help. It's okay to let someone else be strong for a while. You've spent your whole life being everyone's anchor, but anchors are meant to be temporary. They hold the boat steady in the storm, but when the storm passes, they're supposed to be lifted. You're supposed to sail, my darling. I hope my death doesn't become another storm you weather alone. I hope you let your brother and sister in. They need you, but you need them too. Take care of yourself, Sarah. Please, for me. All my love, Mom." Sarah looked up to find both Michael and Emma crying. "She told me I worked too much," Michael said, his voice thick. "She said I was running from something, and I needed to stop and figure out what it was before I ran out of time." "She told me I was brave," Emma added, wiping her eyes. "She said following my dreams was the most courageous thing I'd ever done, and she was proud of me. But she also said that running towards something and running away from something can look the same, and I needed to know the difference." Sarah folded her letter carefully, pressing it against her chest. "She knew us better than we knew ourselves." "She always did," Michael agreed. Emma stood up suddenly. "I want to show you both something." She retrieved her guitar case, pulling out the instrument with reverent hands. "I wrote a song. About Mom. About us. I haven't performed it yet because it felt too personal. But I think maybe it's meant to be shared." She began to play, her fingers finding the chords with practiced ease. When she sang, her voice was clear and aching. "Autumn leaves falling down, like the years we can't rewind. We were children in this house. Now we're scattered, lost in time. But there's an echo in these walls, of her laughter, of her grace. And maybe if we listen close, we can find our way back home again." By the time Emma finished, all three siblings were crying openly. "That was beautiful," Sarah managed. "It's not finished," Emma said. "I couldn't figure out the ending. But maybe that's because our story isn't finished either." Michael stood up, walking to the window that overlooked their mother's garden, the one Sarah had let die. "What if we stayed? Not forever, but for a few months. Fixed this place up. Decided together what to do with it." "I can't just leave my life for months," Emma protested, but her voice lacked conviction. "What life?" Michael challenged gently. "You said yourself you're between gigs. I can work remotely. Sarah, you're on leave anyway." Sarah had taken a leave of absence from her teaching job after her mother died, unable to stand in front of a classroom and pretend everything was fine. "What would we even do here?" Sarah asked. "Live," Michael said simply. "Figure out how to be siblings again. Fix the garden. Go through Mom's things properly, not just boxing them up. Remember her, grieve her, together." It was insane. It was impractical. It was exactly what their mother would have wanted. "Okay," Sarah said. "Okay," Emma repeated. "Okay." Sarah felt something that might have been hope. "But we need ground rules. No running away when things get hard. No shutting each other out. And we have to actually talk to each other." "I can try," Michael said. "Me too," Emma agreed. They shook on it, the gesture both silly and sacred. The following weeks unfolded like a second childhood. They sorted through closets and boxes, finding treasures and heartaches. Michael discovered their mother's college degree, a teaching certificate she'd never been able to use because she'd gotten pregnant with him. Emma found love letters their father had written during deployment, passionate and poetic. Sarah uncovered their mother's diary from the year after their father died, pages filled with grief and determination and love for her children. They cried a lot. They argued too. Old wounds don't heal overnight, but they also laughed. They replanted the garden together, Michael researching the best flowers for fall planting, while Emma created a playlist of their mother's favorite songs. Sarah supervised, offering lemonade and sandwiches, slowly learning to let others lead. One evening, 3 weeks into their experiment, they sat on the back porch watching the sunset. "I have a confession," Michael said. "I'm thinking of quitting my job." Sarah nearly dropped her glass. "What?" "I've been miserable for years. I make good money, but I hate my life. Mom's death made me realize I don't want to spend the next 30 years in meetings that don't matter." He paused. "I'm thinking of teaching. Business classes at a community college or something. Dad always said I was good at explaining things." "He did say that," Sarah confirmed, surprised. "What about you, Em?" Michael asked. "What happens after our time here is up?" Emma picked at the porch railing. "I got offered a teaching position at a music school in Nashville. Real salary, benefits, the whole thing. I turned it down because I thought it meant giving up on my dreams. But maybe teaching music is part of the dream. Maybe I've been so focused on being a performer that I forgot there are other ways to be a musician." "Are you going to accept it?" Sarah asked. "I think so, if the offer's still open." Emma smiled. "What about you? Are you going back to teaching?" Sarah had been thinking about this question for weeks. "I don't know. Maybe. Or maybe something else. I've been thinking about grief counseling. After everything with Mom, I realized how much I needed someone to talk to. Someone who understood. Maybe I could be that person for others." "You'd be amazing at that," Michael said. "Really? Really? You've always been empathetic. You've always known how to help people feel heard." Sarah felt tears prick her eyes again. But these were different. Lighter. "Look at us," Emma laughed. "Three lost kids trying to find their way." "Not kids," Michael corrected. "Adults. Finally acting like adults." "Speak for yourself," Emma grinned. "I'm still basically 12. They sat in comfortable silence as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink and purple. "Do you think she knows?" Sarah asked quietly. "That we're trying?" "Yeah," Michael said with certainty. "I think she knows." Emma started humming the song she'd written, and after a moment, Sarah and Michael joined in, their voices blending in imperfect harmony. 2 months later, the house looked different. The garden bloomed with late-season flowers, chrysanthemums and asters that would survive the coming frost. The rooms were clean but lived in. Photos had been sorted, some framed, others carefully stored. The basement held organized boxes labeled in Sarah's neat handwriting. Dad's Navy years, Mom's teaching dreams, our childhood, keep forever. But it was a Tuesday afternoon in late October when everything shifted again. Sarah was in the kitchen making dinner, her mother's chicken soup recipe, when she heard the knock. Not the doorbell, but a hesitant knock on the screen door. Through the mesh, she saw a young woman, maybe 19 or 20, with dark hair and nervous eyes. "Can I help you?" Sarah called through the door. "I'm looking for Margaret Chen," the girl said, "or her family." "I'm sorry, I know this is strange, but—" Sarah's throat tightened. "Margaret was my mother. She passed away 3 months ago." The girl's face crumbled. Oh no, I'm too late." Something in her devastation made Sarah open the door. "Come in, please. Can I ask who you are?" The girl stepped inside, clutching a worn backpack. "My name is Lily. Lily Morrison. Your mother, she was my mentor, sort of. We met 2 years ago at the community center, where I was taking GED classes. She tutored me, helped me pass. She said if I ever needed anything, I could come here." Sarah's mind reeled. Her mother had never mentioned tutoring anyone. "I'm sorry to bother you," Lily continued, tears streaming down her face. I graduated community college last month. I wanted to thank her. She was the only person who ever believed I could do it. And now she's gone and she'll never know." "Wait here," Sarah said suddenly. She went to her mother's desk and pulled out a folder she'd found weeks ago but hadn't been able to open. Inside were letters, dozens of them, addressed to students. Students her mother had tutored, mentored, guided. Students she'd never told her children about. Sarah found the one marked Lily Morrison and handed it to the girl with trembling hands. Lily opened it, her eyes scanning the page. When she looked up, she was crying harder. She wrote this? When? The date says 6 months before she died. She says she's proud of me, that she knew I'd graduate, that I have everything I need to succeed. Lily's voice broke. How did she know? I didn't even know. Sarah felt something crack open inside her chest. She always knew things like that. There's more in here, Lily said, pulling out a smaller envelope. A scholarship application for the state university, with a recommendation letter already written. Sarah looked at the letter, her mother's words praising Lily's determination, resilience, and potential. She believed in you. She saved me, Lily whispered. I was sleeping in my car when we met. Ran away from a bad situation. She helped me find housing assistance, got me into classes, treated me like I mattered, like I wasn't just some stupid kid who dropped out of high school. Sarah thought about all the afternoons her mother had been busy, all the times she'd said she had appointments. She'd been building lives, quiet acts of grace that her own children had never witnessed. Stay for dinner, Sarah said impulsively. Please, my siblings will be here soon. I think they need to meet you too. Michael arrived first, surprised to find a stranger at the table. Then Emma, her arms full of groceries for the meal they'd planned. As they ate soup and Sarah explained who Lily was, both siblings grew quiet. There are more letters, Sarah finally said. More students. I counted at least 15. 15 people she helped? Michael asked. That we know of. Sarah pulled out the folder. She kept notes, tracking their progress, celebrating their victories. These are just the ones from the past 3 years. Emma read through the pages, her expression transforming. There's a boy who became a nurse, a single mother who got her accounting degree, a veteran who started his own business. She looked up. Mom did all this? While working her regular job, Lily added, she volunteered at the community center 3 times a week, sometimes more. She said it reminded her why she became a teacher in the first place. Michael's face was pale. She wanted to be a teacher. She was a teacher, Sarah corrected softly, just not in the way we thought. The weight of understanding settled over the table. Their mother had lived a full life, fuller than they'd known. While they'd been busy with their own worlds, she'd been creating change in quiet, profound ways. I should go, Lily said, standing. I've taken up enough of your time. Wait, Emma said suddenly. The scholarship application, did you submit it? Not yet. The deadline is next week, but I don't know if I can afford it even with a scholarship. I'd need to work full-time and… What if you didn't have to? Michael interrupted. What if we helped? Sarah turned to stare at her brother. Michael, Mom left some money, not a lot, but enough. We were going to split it 3 ways. What if we used part of it to create a scholarship fund? In her name, for students like Lily. Emma's eyes widened. That's brilliant. I can't accept your money, Lily protested. It's not our money, Sarah said, understanding flooding through her. It's Mom's. And this is exactly what she'd want. Over the next hour, they talked through details. Michael would handle the legal structure. Emma would help with outreach through her music connections, community centers, youth programs. Sarah would screen applications and interview candidates. We'll call it the Margaret Chen Scholarship for Second Chances, Sarah said. Lily was crying again, but these were different tears. She really would have loved this. She would have, Emma agreed, and maybe this is how we keep her alive. Not just in memory, but in action. After Lily left, clutching the recommendation letter and a promise that they'd be in touch, the siblings sat in the living room, each processing what had happened. We didn't really know her, did we? Michael finally said. We knew parts of her, Sarah replied. The mother parts. But she was a whole person with a whole life we never asked about. I feel like I wasted so much time, Emma whispered. All those calls where I just talked about myself. I never asked what she was doing, what made her happy. We all did, Michael said. But maybe that's part of growing up. Realizing your parents are people, Complex, flawed, amazing people. Sarah pulled out her phone, scrolling through old messages from her mother. Most were mundane. Grocery lists, appointment reminders, emoji-filled encouragement. But one from a year ago caught her eye. Remember, my darling, the greatest inheritance you can leave isn't money or property. It's the difference you make in someone's life. Everything else fades. Love remains. She read it aloud to her siblings. She was telling us, Emma said. The whole time she was showing us how to live. And we missed it, Michael added bitterly. No, Sarah said firmly. We're seeing it now, and we have a choice. We can feel guilty about what we missed, or we can honor it by continuing what she started. The silence that followed was thoughtful, purposeful. I want to do more, Michael said. The scholarship is a start, but what if we actually formalized what Mom was doing? Created a proper mentorship program? I could teach music, Emma offered, to kids who can't afford lessons. Mom always said music saved her when she was young. And I could offer tutoring, Sarah added, in person and online, for anyone who needs it. They looked at each other, and for the first time since their mother's death, they saw not just grief but purpose. 2 months later, they gathered at the kitchen table one final time. The house was clean, repaired, ready. They decided to keep it, turning it into a family home where any of them could stay when they needed to. A home base, a reminder. But also they decided to use part of it, the converted garage, as a tutoring center. I guess this is it, Emma said, her bags packed for Nashville. Not it, Sarah corrected. Just a beginning. A different one. Michael raised the blue flower mug, now containing tea instead of coffee, to Mom, for knowing what we needed before we did, and for showing us what really matters. To Mom, Sarah and Emma echoed. They drank in silence, tasting memory and promise. Thanksgiving, Michael said suddenly. We should all come back for Thanksgiving. Make it a tradition. And Christmas, Emma added, and maybe just random weekends when we miss each other. And phone calls, Sarah insisted. Real ones, not just texts. Deal, her siblings said in unison. As they stood to leave, Sarah paused at the kitchen counter, running her fingers over the blue flowers on the mug. Thank you, she whispered to the empty air, to her mother's memory, to the universe. Thank you for giving us another chance. Outside, the autumn leaves were falling again, golden and red and beautiful in their impermanence. The siblings hugged goodbye with promises to keep, not perfect, but sincere. Michael drove away first, waving through his window. Emma followed, her music already playing loud enough to hear from the driveway. Sarah stood alone in front of the house, but she didn't feel alone. She felt held, by memory, by love, by the invisible threads that bind families together, even when they fray. She locked the door, putting the key under the mat where they all knew to find it, and whispered one more time, "Thank you." The house stood silent behind her, but it wasn't empty. It was full of ghosts, but the kind that remind us we're loved, the kind that teach us how to love ourselves. Sarah drove away as the last light faded, carrying with her the weight of grief and the lightness of hope, and the understanding that sometimes falling apart is the only way to come back together. The last autumn had passed, but there would be other autumns, other seasons, other chances to bloom, and this time they'd face them together.